Hi, I'm MrByZ, and I happened to pick up the Walmart exclusive 3 3/4 inch Black Series figures this last weekend. I didn't get them off Walmart. I'm sure we've all read a lot of the stories about people trying to get these and the employees stopping them due to a release date on them, supposedly November 1st. But I actually found these at a local Comic-Con down at Rose City Comic-Con in Portland. And they were a little more expensive than what they were in Walmart. They were about 20 bucks a piece. So it's not terrible. I decided to go ahead and pick them up. This way I'd get all four of them right away and didn't have to keep going to Walmart, which aren't close to me, to be able to pick them up. So let's go ahead and take a look at all four of these figures. So let's take a look at these. I'm sure we probably all want to see the new 3 3/4 inch super articulated Luke Skywalker. The back has far more information than we ever got on the 5 points of articulation card. So let's take a look at it. So the face sculpt looks pretty good. I don't know if it's quite Mark Hamill, but it's pretty good. We have a cloth cloak here. The outer cloak, or inner cloak I guess it would be, is all kind of a plastic, and underneath we can see what his legs look like. It's kind of interesting because the wrapping reminds me somewhat of original Tatooine Luke Skywalker. Obviously, he's fully articulated. It's a good paint job on him. Even his mechanical hand here. All the articulation you expect. We do have a little belt, loop on the belt, as if for a lightsaber or a cane or something. So how does this figure compare to the 5 points of articulation? The head definitely looks a little different. You can see we get a little bit more paint on the robes here too. Like if you look at the 5 points of articulation, it looks like it's almost one color, whereas we can see the definite difference between, oh, you call that off-white and off-tan? I don't know. I think I like the plastic cloak on the 5 points of articulation Luke a little bit better, as most of the modern cloth stuff just doesn't really do it anymore. It's usually too thin and it doesn't hang well. And you look at like the tie on him, it's just all wonky here and doesn't want to stay down. So it's a nice figure. I think it's worthwhile getting. I mean, I've seen lots of people do some nice poses with this figure. One of the biggest poses I see people doing is trying to do the removable hood from the end of Force Awakens. It kind of works here. I've seen some better ones than this. I just tried to throw this together really quickly. But of course, you get a better job on this than you would on him. Next, we'll take a look at Rose, one of our new characters for the movie. She appears to come with some of the same accessories here, but let's pull it out and take a look at her compared to the 5 points of articulation. So she has lots of articulation here. We see, of course, the elbow and shoulder ball joint. We have wrist articulation. She has waist articulation, kind of a ball joint there. We even have a swivel joint on the thighs, ball joints on the hips, ball joints on the knees, and we have ankle articulation. So she's got it all there. I didn't pull out the little hydrospam or whatever this is, just because it's so tiny. It does have a little slot to fit on her belt like the 5 points of articulation, but I really don't want to lose it, so I'm not pulling it out for right now. Now compared to the 5 points of articulation, the heads seem to be similar sculpts. They both look nice. The color of her jumpsuit seems to be slightly different between the two. I'd say this almost has a more greenish tinge, while this has a more, I don't know, orangish tinge. A lot of the same details on it, though. The writing on her pocket, the insignia, I guess it would be. There's this deal on her shoulder. Obviously, it's a character we don't know a lot about, but it is nice to have a fully articulated version here that looks like you could do a lot of different action poses with. Next, we'll take a look at the First Order Stormtrooper Executioner. Looks to be a lot of the same things we got from the previous First Order Stormtrooper with more paint. Well, those shoulders look like they might be a little more with the joints. So here we take a look at it. The paint job on this is so good. I'd say this is much better than what we've seen previously on these, even on the 5 points of articulation. We're getting some very clean lines on this. I like the logos on the shoulders. His weapon is, of course, unique for the Executioner here. Again, fully articulated, just like the rest of these. He didn't come with an extra gun, but he does have a slot to put a gun on his hip. Take a look at the back here. Again, it's more of a paint job. Most of this looks like it's the same as the previous Stormtrooper we got a couple years ago. But that extra paint really makes it nice. It sticks out a little bit more. Finally, we have our Praetorian Guard, who seems to be trying to blend into the back of his packaging. So out of the package, he is still a very glossy red, as we've seen before, but it seems to be a little bit nicer. The helmet does seem to be, I don't know, it's kind of cheapish, if you will, just because it's all that red plastic. It seems like it just needs a bit of detail to it or something. He has a cloth red cloak on the bottom, which seems to work okay. Does have one minor bit of paint detail on his chest here. And then on the legs, they are actually black underneath. We can see that we've got a lot of the same articulation that we have, like the swivel thigh and the knee joints and all of that. Looks like a very nice figure. Obviously, you can get all sorts of action poses out of him. These are characters we're not familiar with yet, so I thought I'd pull out the other Praetorian Guard to see how different or how similar they are. Obviously, they have different helmets, but it's hard to tell. And of course, here we're looking at different articulation sets, but the arms look very similar as far as that scalar look to them and everything. The chest is very similar, although this has a gray dot a little bit more pronounced than the gray dot on this, and that could just be the way they did them on this. You can't see the black on his legs, but if you look inside, of course they are. So the bodies look to be very similar, so it'll be interesting to see if these figures do have the exact same outfit, just different helmets. But it's kind of nice that we, not only did they give us another Praetorian Guard, or at least a super articulated one, but they gave us a different helmet on it so we can increase the ranks. Now, of course, there's a third one that comes with the playset. I haven't picked up that playset yet. So that is a look at the 4 Walmart Black Series 3 3/4 inch figures. Pretty nice figures. I think overall the quality on these is still a step up from what we've had in the past. Much like we're seeing the 5 points of articulation figures, they're a step up from what we've done before. It seems that Hasbro is really getting into the quality on these. The paint jobs are far better. The sculpts are better. Everything seems to be really good. Really nice figures. I would recommend picking these up. Some of them, like that Luke, it's hard to say if you really want the 5 point or the 3 3/4 inch. Black Series one, they're kind of, I don't know, there's good points about both of them. On a lot of the others, it's great to have all the extra articulation. Of course, we may see Luke in this movie, and he's doing tons of things to where we want tons of that articulation. Who knows? You can decide for yourself. That's why I do the reviews. I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can go ahead and do that. I'm constantly putting up reviews of new product and some old product as well. And I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.